said that I probably would never leave the care of my parents. The stories you are about to hear are not based on a true story. This is the truth. This is our life now. We invite you into the jungle, into our world, the tribal life. Join us on the hunt. Come, train with us for survival. Come and explore with us as we trek through the rainforest from one secluded beach to the next in search of perfect, uncrowded waves of adventure. Welcome to the jungle.
My name's Kilbride. I'm 14 years old and I was bit by a crocodile. Just one day, came out, started paddling out, caught a couple waves, caught a wave in, all the way to the beach, started paddling back out, and then I'll duck dive a wave, and then all of a sudden I feel something teeth sink in. When I first felt those teeth sink in, I felt like this whole cold feeling go through me and not know what to do. And the first thought I did was just to grab on my board. Right from that moment, I just grabbed onto my board, and the crocodile tried to pull me down once. And then let up a little bit, and then shook me side to side to side, and then tried to pull me down again. And on the third time, tried to pull me down, it just lost its grip, and teeth came out of my bone, and I got away. It was just like an amazing amount of strength that just felt like weights just pulling me down into the water, but luckily enough that board, I held on to it and stayed up out of the water. I went to go grab down to my leg to see if I was alright, and I felt something, so I grabbed onto my leg and I lifted up, and it was just a big fistful of my own flesh in my hand. So I let that go and paddled all the way in, screaming, yelling for help. When I got out of the water, I tried to stand up once, but my tendons were ripped out and muscle was all gone. I just tried to stand up and my leg just folded over and I fell back to the ground. And then two friends were around me trying to help me tie a tourniquet around my leg. And I remember looking down at my leg and looking at the black sand getting blacker around it with all the blood going out. And I looked at my leg and I was just like, man, is this my last day that I'm going to surf? I had 7 surgeries in San Jose. My kneecap and femur were totally exposed, so they had to clean, but they had to work fast before the bone just started to rot away. Then about 2 or 3 months later, after those 7 surgeries, I went to Sweden and I got a tendon transplant and a nerve transplant. The tendon transplant was so I didn't have a drop foot. Before the tendon was ripped out, it just controls it from not just hanging. And before I just had to basically throw my leg up or had to have a brace on to get my foot to come up. I couldn't walk properly. After the croc bite and all that's been with it, it's really shaped my life with like surfing, just full-on surfing and going for the biggest wave you can get, the biggest barrel, as hard as you can go, because you never know, it could be your last day tomorrow when you don't want any regrets, when you don't want any regrets, when you don't want any regrets.
For every breath I take, I won't take it for granted. So I learn from my mistakes. It's beyond my control. Sometimes it's best to let go. Whatever happens in its lifetime. So I trust in love. You have given me peace of mind. I feel so alive for the very first time. I can't deny you. Feel so alive for the very first time, and I think I can fly, and I think I can fly, and I think I can fly, and I think I can fly. Sunshine upon my face, and no song for me to sing.
Unfortunately, I lost my best friend who was like a brother to me, and it happened when I was 18 years old. I went on a surf trip, and when I came back, I found out my best friend was dead from overdose of drugs, and by the time they got to the hospital, it was too late. And you realize, you know, that life just is too short and it's too precious, and it can go at any time. There's a lot more to life than what we see and what we feel. You know, unfortunately, sometimes it takes a dramatic event for us to realize the fortune that we have.
The tribe quickly learned that this flourishing paradise of a jungle could kill you in 1,000 ways. If we wanted to survive, we had to make friends with as many of the locals as we could. It didn't take long for the locals to warm up to us. This monkey here, we call him Nitro. He comes for most of our dinners, and in turn, he warns us when there's a large predator like a panther or leopard approaching the camp. This is Nalu and Koa. They guard the tribe at night and are the top 2 hunters in the pack. They are Costa Rican Tiger Stanfords, one of the most loyal breeds of dogs. They are as much a part of the tribe as any human member. On a day-to-day basis, they retrieve all the coconut husks we use to start fires for cooking and warmth at night. Nalu and Koa train hard every day. Their primary task is to guard the tribe while we sleep at night. The night before last, the camp was infiltrated by a 7-foot boa constrictor that was trying to eat one of the dogs. Fortunately, Nalu and Koa were on guard.
Soy de Caracas, Venezuela, un país donde normalmente 80 personas mueren durante el fin de semana, solo por armas de fuego. Estamos hablando que mi historia es normal en este país. Saliendo de una fiesta, sentí una persona corriendo detrás de mí. En el mismo segundo recibí un botellazo por la cabeza. Cuando caía sobre mis rodillas, esta persona, con el resto de la botella, trató de cortarme el cuello. Inconsciente, desperté en un hospital entendiendo que esta segunda oportunidad de vida no la podía desperdiciar, que tenía que agarrar mis sueños y buscarlos lo más profundo posible. En el momento que me encontraba en la búsqueda de mis sueños, tuve la oportunidad de conocer este multicultural grupo. Un grupo el cual me enseñó muchas cosas. Un grupo que abrió mis horizontes. Un grupo el cual me enseñó que la búsqueda de mis sueños es prácticamente lo que yo debería hacer para mantener mi felicidad. Este multicultural grupo fue prácticamente mi familia por el resto de estos años. Estamos hablando de esta tribu de surf.
Broken myself up plenty of times. I've broken 64 bones, including my back twice. I've had plenty of doctors say on multiple occasions that I'd probably never be able to walk again. The only way to overcome such obstacles is just to grab onto a dream and don't let go of them for anything. My dream, once healed, was to be able to travel Central America, climbing to the summit of all its major volcanoes, with nothing but a knife and spear. Recently, on a trip to Nicaragua, I was climbing Volcan Tiliquia when I got caught in one of the worst storms God has ever thrown my way. I've encountered more rain and lightning on that one trip than I have over my entire life. And while you would think that that would be the most dangerous part, it was actually returning back to civilization later on the next day when I was rolled by 4 guys on a side street. I was stabbed over 6 times and had to grab my knife to defend myself. Pumping blood from my neck, I was able to defend and run them off. The attack was pretty severe. I encountered many injuries, the first and worst stabbing being here to my neck. They hit me and missed my jugular by 1 centimeter. They tried to stab me again in the throat and I was able to move my head and they caught my chin. Next they hit me in the side, my shoulder, and then they slit my wrist, nicking all of my major tendons and rendering my left hand useless. After running the 4 men off, I was able to walk myself to the local emergency room and get put back together. And after a few weeks of hammock healing, I'm back with the tribe and getting ready to go to the next high spot.
We trek all over Central America chasing the waves. For the most part, we travel by the rivers, because it's in this part of the rainforest that the flora is lush with rare, exotic fruits that are rich in carbohydrates and antioxidants, which are a staple of our diet. Many of these fruits we use for several medicinal purposes. For example, the papaya seeds are used to rid our bodies of any deadly parasites we might have caught from the jungle. And we make sure to eat noni on a daily basis to prevent any of the tribe from getting dengue fever. The sources of many of the world's pharmaceuticals can be found in our rainforest in their pure, raw form. We strive to live in harmony with our environment, which means we don't kill anything. Not one spider, not one ant. The only exceptions to this rule are that if the animal can be used for food so that the tribe can survive another day, or if the life of a tribe member is in immediate danger. The other day we were hunting on the reef looking for our next meal, which typically consists of lobsters, jumbo crabs, and fresh fish. But on this particular day, we weren't the only ones hunting this section of the reef. The bag that was strapped to my waist containing the fish that we had caught was now leaking blood and attracted several sharks into the area. We continued hunting anyways. All of a sudden, one shark made a straight dash for my bag, crashing into my side and chomping right next to my leg. We have no hospitals here. If you lose a chunk, you could very well bleed to death. I had no choice. I had my spear and my hunting knife. Out here, you're no longer human. You are an animal, and your instincts must take over if you want to survive. Unfortunately, sometimes two predators, both at the top of the food chain, will cross paths over a meal that is very vital to the survival of both, but only one can come out on top.
We had already seen 2, maybe 3 sharks in the area, but we didn't think that much of it because they were only 4.5 footers, so we just continued with our hunting. I turned my head to check on Blake, and from about 15 feet down, a shark made a beeline straight up to Blake and hit him in the hip, right where the bag with the fish was hanging. The last thing I saw was Blake pull out his knife and roll over top of the shark. It kicked up so much sand, it was like one big, violent tornado under the water. Immediately, I swam over to help, and suddenly the tornado just turned red with blood. The first thing that crosses my mind is that we're 2 days away from a hospital and my brother has just been bit by a shark. I swam straight into the redness, and all I could see was an open mouth with jagged teeth coming straight at my face. Ultimately, we came out on top. That shark fed 7 people and the dogs for 2 days.
Come with me, we'll go explore more of the jungle, and I'll tell you just exactly how I ended up here. It was the beginning of my senior year, just 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, when I had everything taken from me. My sight, my ability to walk, to talk, to even remember who I was. I was at a homecoming party. It was a camp out at my friend's house. The whole senior class was there. And I can't remember a whole lot after that, but according to witnesses' testimony, while I was asleep next to the campfire at 3 a.m., a man came running out of the woods, sprinting towards me, and he kicked me in the face with steel-toe boots so hard that it broke my face in 4 places on the right side and fractured the left side in 8 places. He then proceeded to stomp on my head and run into the woods, leaving me for dead. Thank God 2 buddies of mine who were lifeguards heard the crack of my face breaking and ran to my aid. I was unconscious, so the guards secured my neck and checked to see if I was still breathing. I was not. They realized that my jaw had sliced all the way through my tongue, which I had now swallowed and was obstructing my airway. They managed to pull my tongue out of my throat and get me breathing again to save my life. It took more than 6 hours of the best reconstructive surgeons to piece my face together with titanium plates. But because I was still unconscious for several days, they had no idea the extent of the injury to my brain. I had suffered damage to the right side of my brain, which operates the left side of your body. This resulted in the paralysis of my left arm and leg. The epicenter of the brain trauma was to my right temporal lobe, which is the area that manages short-term memory. When I woke up in the hospital several days later, it quickly became apparent to everyone that not only I had amnesia and I had no idea who I or anyone else was, but I had completely lost the ability to make new memories. The scariest thing when you don't even know who you are is not knowing what happened to you or if you're going to make it out all right. This absolutely destroyed my parents. My mom says she had to explain what happened hundreds of times to me because every couple of minutes I would just black out, forget everything I was told, and become hysterical. The man was caught. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison. At sentencing, when the judge asked him what his motive was, he said he had no idea. He said, "I've never even met Blake before. I was just so drunk and messed up. I don't even know what I was doing. I had everything taken from me." And for what? This kid had no idea what he was doing? I went to 5 months of cognitive rehabilitation for memory loss. But after 5 months, the experts said that they weren't seeing any more improvements. They said that I had to be realistic about my college goals, that college just wasn't in the cards for me. They said that I probably would never leave the care of my parents. When you have no past and you've lost the ability to make a future, you grab onto whatever's left. In my case, I knew the basics, the English language. And although I couldn't speak it or read it, I still knew the definitions in my head. And in my vocabulary, the word miracle still existed. This word meant everything to me, because short of a miracle, there was no hope of recovery to my temporal lobe, according to all the neurologists. Nothing was going to stand in my way. I got rid of all the doctors, I fired all my cognitive rehab specialists, and I just surrounded myself with caring, optimistic people. If this miracle was going to happen for me, I knew I couldn't allow any negativity or doubt to enter my mind. The experts said that I would never play sports again. That just made me become obsessed with training and practicing perfect nutrition. They said that I would never leave the care of my parents. It made me dream of the day that I could prove to myself and everyone else that I could survive on my own in the most extreme situations. All along the way, I just kept telling myself that anything's possible. And I did go to college. I got accepted to Virginia Tech via the brain injury department. And yes, I went to college with a person who went to all my classes. They ate meals with me, and for more or less, they pointed me in the right direction. But even though I was taking baby steps, it was still progress. I was finally finding my place in society when tragedy struck. We had 2 school shootings that year, the first of which was a deranged student on the loose who went on a cop-killing spree. And the second shooting that year proved to be the largest massacre in U.S. history. This was one of the first memories that I would never forget. I'm not in any way trying to claim that this affected me more or less than anyone else, only that this was the most horrific event I had ever witnessed. I couldn't begin to process what had transpired, and all the progress I had made began to deteriorate. I had to get as far away as fast as possible. I was looking for any kind of guidance, any kind of sign, and that's when I came across the quote, "Life is short, tomorrow is never promised, so live your dream today." I knew what I had to do. I had to go to the place I kept seeing in my dreams and prove to myself that I was capable, that I could take care of myself and survive. So I headed to Oahu to live in the rainforest. It was the most positive place that I could think of. I was convinced that it was there that I could find myself. When I landed on Oahu, the whole island was talking about their most recent tragedy. Apparently, a very violent storm caused a sewage pipeline to burst, flooding over 10 million gallons of sewage into this body of water known as the Alawai Canal. Nobody knew it at the time, but the pollution caused necrotating fasciitis to spawn, aka flesh-eating bacteria. 2 pedestrians were in a fist fight and tackled each other into the body of water. Unaware of this deadly situation, they did not seek immediate medical attention for their exposed wounds. 1 week after the exposure, the men had to have their arms and legs amputated and still did not survive. 7 days after I arrived on the island, I was doing some volunteer work picking up litter around the canal when a driver goes into a diabetic coma behind the wheel and loses control of his car. The car is sent flipping through the air and lands upside down in the middle of the death water. While hundreds of people stood by and watched the man drown, 4 men jumped in to help. Kreitz, Eddie, Ruben, and myself. According to the police report, the man was submerged nearly 4 minutes before I was able to cut his seatbelt off and swam him to the surface. When I swam him to the surface, we realized the man was not breathing and did not have a pulse. Statistics show that only 1 in 10 survive after 2 minutes of submersion. That is proof of miracles. I swear I brought a dead man to the surface.
We're learning more tonight about one of the 4 men who dared to jump into the polluted, jellyfish-infested waters of the Alawai Canal on Saturday to save a man who may have been drowning. KHNO News 8's Mariella David spoke with that man today. And Mariella, this isn't the first time he's come face-to-face with danger, is it?
Howard, this is his 4th run-in with danger. 4 years ago, he was beaten to near death. He is a Virginia Tech student and was there for 2 separate shootings on campus this past school year. Less than 3 months later, he risks his life to save another. He's now out of the hospital, and tonight he shares his story of survival. Blake Harrison seems like an ordinary 21-year-old, but his young life has been anything but. Blake helped save a man trapped in a sinking truck at the Alawai. He suffered cuts plus 50 jellyfish stings.
It's been a long time underwater. You know, I don't know if there's a baby. I don't know if there's a spouse or how many passengers. We don't really know anything. You know, all we know is like the clock's ticking.
Blake and 3 others beat that clock and got the man breathing again. His inspiration to save a life came from his brush with death. In high school, someone beat him in the head. 2 fellow students came to his rescue.
I came over, you know, secured my neck and actually pulled my tongue out of my throat. And I mean, I was a goner for sure.
But he survived 4 crises in 4 years, and through it all, Blake has come out a hero.
I always hear people say that there are no guarantees in this world. Well, I have found a couple. It doesn't matter who you are or what walk of life you come from. You will be confronted by certain people in your lifetime that are going to try to drag you down. It's too easy to become discouraged these days. If I can come back from utterly hopeless, can't go to college, can't leave the care of my parents, to receiving the Medal of Valor, which is one of the highest honors an American civilian can ever achieve, then anybody can accomplish anything. Miracles do exist in this life. That is my guarantee.
These machines feed on the tears of broken lives and dying dreams. We're throwing wrenches in the gears. Our lives will not be lived in vain. When this is all said and done, we spent this life on the run, judged by the company, judged by the king. Our language buried inside these lungs that keep us alive. We
Hawaii was the training grounds, a place to hone our skills and the birthplace of the tribe. Once we were 9 strong, we moved to Central America to find our own waves and test ourselves in the real jungle. Now we live the dream every day, surfing with the boys,